Okay, so shall we start? Hello.
Definitely.
All right. Okay. In the name of Allah, we are going to start now. Thank you, thankful to everyone who took his time and joined us for the meeting. This is the webinar, and our topic today is training the next generation for value-based performance in maritime industry. We have various speakers from Pakistan and abroad, and Mr. Fasihul Karim Siddiqi is there. He is Executive Director of Global Compact Network and looking after this MACN project in Pakistan. He's a legendary person in industrial relations and various projects. So he's handling with ILO right now, and he is looking after Global Compact Network. Then we have Mathias back. He is a compliance tools expert working for MACN, Maritime Anti-Corruption Network in Denmark. Then we are Mr. Commodore Akbar Naqi is going to join us. He has been with the Pakistan Navy and retired as a Commodore. And right now he's working as a head of Daewoo gas project. And he had been head of he had been head of Marine Academy in Pakistan. Then we have with us Dr. Inam, Asif Inam. He is the head of the department. He is an academician and looking after the maritime department in Bahria University. For Jonas and for Mathias, the word Bahria means navy in Urdu. So it is a navy university established by naval officers in Pakistan, and it has various campuses. So Dr. Asif Inam is heading the department. It's called Maritime Sciences. And then we have Syed Tanvir Ahmed. He is a CEO Tanvir Ahmed Associate. He's a prominent lawyer, and he has been member of customs from Federal Bureau of Revenue and extra director general of customs. Then we have right now Mr. Syed Tanvir Ahmed is practicing law and supporting various clients. Then we have Captain Ajmal Mahmoodi. He is CEO of M International. He's a trainer and maritime consultant. And then we are supposed to have Shah Zaman. He is managing director of Zaman Agencies. He is ex-senior vice president of Karachi Custom Agent Association, and he's looking after these affairs in custom as an agent. And then we have Jonas Lensen, and he is senior lead of South Asia, working with MACN in Denmark. And I'm also working with the GCNP and on MACN project in Pakistan. So shall we start now? I would request Mr. Fasihul Karim Siddiqi to brief us about this project and its update, and why there was a need for call for collective action in Pakistan for this in maritime wrongdoings and malpractices. Okay. So I would request Mr. Fasihul Karim Siddiqi, please.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Akram, for a very gracious introduction of the speakers. I think it is for the first time that we are gathered here to discuss a very important sector of the Pakistani business and economy. It is not just a coincidence that we are going to observe the International Maritime Day a few days from now. And I think maritime industry is one of those industries which is playing a vital role in the economy of the country. And like many other institutions, it suffers from problems of governance, problems of procedures, problems of legal irregularities, and a lot of things. But at this point of time, our idea behind keeping this webinar was to prepare the next generation for better performance, improved performance in maritime industry. And one of the best ways to do so is to equip our next generation of professionals in the maritime industry, in ports, in shipping, in government, in shipping companies, in custom agencies, in various other stakeholders community to be able to imbibe in them the principles of responsible social practices. And there could be no better platform than a training platform which can be used for developing a value-based performance in maritime industry. It is in this background that we thought that we will bring these stakeholders together and listen from them as to what possibly is required to equip our next generation in order to be able to see that the issues of corporate governance, issues of, I would not say at this point of time, I don't want to bring in corruption, but it is a fact that because of a lot of lapses in laws, procedures, we have, like many other institutions, maritime industry as well, which is facing challenges. And I think the entire project of collective action against corrupt practices in maritime industry is aimed at sensitizing the stakeholders in ensuring that they are conscious of their responsibilities and they are able to stand against the forces which force them to practices which are not desirable at the on the one hand, and on the other, the very reputation of companies can't be built if we have at our foundation practices which are not desirable. So while we are doing a lot of things on this plane in different ways, the purpose of today's seminar is basically focused on building the future generation. And I'm very happy that we have people like Matthias and Jonas on board today, and our academia and our legal profession, as well as practicing professionals in the field of maritime industry who can play a vital role in bringing the transformation that we are talking about through collective action. So without any much of a detail, I would like to pass on to the speakers to learn from them as to what more we can do in this particular area. Akram, over to you.
Thank you, Fazil Saab. I must appreciate for your thoughts you share with us. And you rightly said that the company's reputation is at stake if they are involved in wrong practices or malpractices, especially in the maritime business, or for that matter, anywhere. And I also welcome your thought for the building future in maritime industries stakeholders. And now I would request Mr. Matthias back. He is the compliance, as I mentioned to you, compliance tools experts working for MACN in Denmark. He's based there, and his topic is role of importance of training of next generation in maritime industry. What role this generation can play? So, Matthias, over to you now.
Thank you, Mr. Akram. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. It's a real pleasure for me to present this today. So why do we think that it's important to train the next generation of seafarers in integrity? The skill to stand up for your integrity is becoming increasingly sought after globally. There is actually a tangible value in integrity. And there is this tangible value for three reasons. First and foremost, the lack of integrity, it hurts the society that you live in. It hurts you. And the lack of integrity also hurts your business. So the question is, how can building integrity strengthen your business performance? Lack of integrity, it hurts the maritime industry in multiple ways. But there are four ways in which it does so. Financially, it causes various delays, inefficiencies, unnecessary bottlenecks. Imagine, for instance, that you can bribe your way in front of a queue. If everybody starts doing that, things become much more unorganized, and difficult, and operations become slower and way more unsafe in general. But not just that. Actually, we've seen that from business research, from academia, that companies with a weaker integrity framework perform worse in the long run, and that simply their return on equity falls as this lack of integrity seep through the organization. Whereas on the opposite side, companies that have very strong integrity management frameworks, they have higher return on equity and are therefore more attractive to the investors. I also think that the lack of integrity can cause stress and can be humiliating to our workers. When our workers, the maritime laborers, do not feel this pride in going to work, they will simply burn out more easy, and they will not be able to go that extra mile for the company that they work in. And actually, surveys, they show that corruption creates a culture in which seafarers and maritime professionals in general, also the shore ones, do not necessarily thrive, and they will often look for other things to do. And then I think companies are also thinking more and more about the business integrity, because they see it as they have to handle these legal risks. Companies that use illicit means to get ahead of their competition, we see them increasingly being slapped with fines, and fines actually that run up into billions of dollars. So the enforcement of laws that outlaw illicit ways of doing things are becoming globally, and the risk associated with not playing by the rules are increasing. And so, of course, the nature of such legal risks, they of course, we see globally a strong risk. So, therefore, if you are, as an organization, as a company, as a business, in strengthening your integrity, you will be able to bring value to yourself, to your own company, and to your investors. And seafarers who are able to support this, they will be more valuable to their employers, because they will be able to save time and money. They will be able to save companies they work for from legal risks, and they will be able to stand up for themselves and doing the right thing. And therefore, they will be more sustainable workers. And of course, I'm here from MACN, and MACN is an organization that wants to help the people, or the businesses, the governments that wants to do something about this, by providing them with a wealth of tools that can assist them. So in terms of training, we have various integrity training modules that are tailored to different maritime professionals. We have some for captains, and these courses, they talk specifically about the nature of the risks faced by the captain. We have one for the operations teams, and we have one for agents. Then we were working on expanding our portfolio of training materials so that we will get training.
They also captured the emitting gas. The idea of sharing all that slide and information is that we need to see that there is a vast difference, and that difference is unfortunately growing with the passage of time between the universities in the West or in universities in Pakistan. And we need to narrow that gap, and on some we have to take some immediate measures. Now, as I said that there were a number of Pakistani researchers and students. They participated in a number of the cruises, and some of them were fortunate enough to undertake their individual landmark and obtain PhD degrees. But unfortunately, the participation of the researchers and the students remain as an individual basis, and there was hardly any institutional capacity building. And that is why, and the main reason behind that at the back end, we didn't have any institution or any university where these trained and qualified manpower, which was developed with that experience of working with Western scientific laboratories and oceanographic vessels. So if we would have having high-level universities and research institutions, then we could develop our institutional capacity, and in the eventually that could lead to some very significant contribution with reference to blue economy. This is a very interesting figure, and if you can see that all the countries, especially the coastal countries or countries which have some footprint in the maritime area, are producing scientific publication. And if you can see that Pakistan is hardly visible here, which indicates that we are not producing much any research related to maritime area. As I said earlier, that we are having 290,000 square kilometer area. This is a big area, and we have a huge responsibility to explore that area and to produce some scientific research, not only for the benefit of our own country and our own institution, but also for the global scientific community. Again, this is, if you can see that Pakistan is just above Nigeria, and we are just producing around 1 or 2 publications per million population, which is extremely alarming. And one of the core factor which is responsible for that poor performance is that Pakistan unfortunately has no maritime footprint in our academia. Even we are about 75 years since we got independence. So in last 70 plus years, we hardly did anything in that area. Why it has become critical for Pakistan academia to train the next generation? As you can see, that Pakistan has 5th largest population in the world, and the way we are contributing in the world population, we might cross that number, and we might become 2nd or 3rd within next 20-30 years. And already the situation is that our food and water resources on land are already unable to meet the demand. And countries all around the world are looking towards sea as an alternate source of food and water. So we are also required to see towards the huge ocean resource and only we can only get any benefit out of that huge resource is by developing our institution and by creating skilled and educated human resource. Pakistan is not in isolation because it is there is common saying that there is only one ocean, and that is since the whole water body is connected, so there is only one ocean, and if we are not responsible enough to safeguard our maritime area, then all the pollution or other thing would be spread to uh, different countries because pollution or anything uh, related to sea doesn't respect any boundaries. This is one of the sorry state. This report is published by World Bank, and you can see that Pakistan, especially in the coastal city of Karachi, we are heavily discharging all the sewage, untreated sewage into the sea. And just imagine that the reverse osmosis, which is generally used to desaline seawater and make it drinkable. If we have to clean it for biological germs and things like that, then the whole process of cleaning and desalinization of water would become extremely expensive, and it would also be requiring huge electric power, and so it is vital for us to make awareness in our leadership as well as in our common man that we must ensure the good health of the ocean resource. This is again since there is hardly anyone who can raise alarm because we are not producing any uh, human resource in sufficient number. So what we are lacking is that we are not educating or we are not raising awareness level in our fishing community, and this has resulted in the serious decline of all the available fisheries in Pakistan maritime area. And the latest survey undertaken by FAO and Marine Fisheries Department has indicated that Pakistan has already consumed more than 80% of its uh, maritime resources, fisheries resources. And this is extremely alarming because as we are aware that eventually if we get shortage of resources on land, then sea is the only area left to look for food security. This is one of the current status, and you can see that all or most of the valuable fish has gone, and all that valuable fish has now been replaced by fish and jellyfish, which are of very less economic value. So we are altering the biodiversity, and we are wasting the huge resources. And this is mainly because of our unawareness that there is a general perception that ocean has unlimited resources, and we need to change that perception. As I said that we have already exhausted the resources, and we are now at the end of the chain. This is one of the very important slide, and I think in 2017 I attended our ocean conference that was organized by the United Nations. And in that conference, one of the presenters shared that slide, and this is a very interesting slide. This is just an advertisement of this wristwatch, and and this advertisement says that you never own this wristwatch. You are just a custodian, and you have to transfer this wristwatch from one generation to the another generation. And same is true with reference to ocean. We have to be aware of the fact that we have to keep this ocean in good and healthy state for our coming generation, because if we make it uninhabitable, can you please switch off your mic, please? Hello, can you please switch off the mic? Thank you. So what went wrong? As I said,
कल का ना एक तो आपसे कन्वर्सेशन होगी थी आपसे, और वेन्यू हमने कराची बोर्ड कब कर दिया है, क्योंकि वो मरीना कब में रेनोवेशन वगैरह हो रही है, कुछ मैं गया था सारे साथ।
नकी साहब अपना माइक बंद करते प्लीज।
7:30 का टाइम दिए आपको, जब
अकरम साहब आप कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, आप बंद कर दें इनका माइक, अकबर साहब का।
तो आपसे यू डोंट माइंड।
So what went wrong? We never see the sea as a resource. Only a couple of universities in Pakistan offer marine science or marine biology and do not have the capacity to undertake marine surveys, collection of samples or data from the shallow or deep sea. Hardly any efforts were made to raise awareness about the sustainability of living resource or the importance of ocean health. Now, what role Bahria University is playing to train the next generation for better performance in maritime sector? Realizing the importance of the maritime sector in the socio-economic development, Bahria University took the initiative and established the Department of Maritime Sciences in June 2019. And they have just raised the level of that department, and they have now developed Bahria School of Maritime and Applied Sciences, and we are just trying to fill that gap, and definitely it would take a considerable time, but at least we have started moving towards right direction. Bahria University is honored to be at the forefront of Pakistan's maritime education and training. In its updated strategic plan, BU has created a 10-year roadmap for gradually integrating maritime-related courses into its degree program to increase the scope of maritime education. The goal is to provide students from all disciplines with a fundamental grasp of the maritime realm and develop their interest in the field. Actually, whether you are doing a degree in computer science, or if you are doing MBA or engineering or any biological sciences or in any other field or discipline, Bahria University has mandatory to all that every department and every research has to have a maritime component. And this is a significant contribution uh, by Bahria University to develop the level of awareness. One of the areas being planned to strengthen is to develop and enhance capacity in applied maritime research to achieve the sustainability of ocean resources, ensuring the health of the marine environment. Bahria University and especially the Department of Maritime Sciences is regularly conducting awareness programs and short training courses, and we are not focusing not only on uh, uh, people who have some academic background, but we are trying to reach to people who have no significant academic background, but they are one of the important stakeholder in the maritime area. They are fishermen or people who are currently discharging industrial and domestic effluents. So we are trying to create a mindset where they can act as a responsible citizen of Pakistan. The newly established Bahria School of Maritime and Applied Sciences is tasked to launch academic programs to develop human resources to work on the mitigation of the impact of climate change on our coastal areas. This is again a very important area because by the end of this century, what Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has predicted that Pakistan is going to have a sea level rise of about 60 centimeter, and for all these cities or coastal areas which are low lying, they are going to be under serious problem, and all the industries which are concentrated presently on the coastline or coastal area are going to be under serious threat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. I must appreciate your valuable presentation through your PowerPoint slides. And we are receiving some questions also here. And maybe in the end of the webinar, we'd like to place some questions to the audience. Now, shall I request Mr. Syed Tanvir Ahmed? He is the CEO of Tanvir Ahmed Associates. He is ex-Director General of Pakistan Customs and Member Customs FBR. His topic is training in technology for improving performance. Just for information, Mr. Tanvir Ahmed has been the architect of system, we call it in Pakistan Vbox, and he is also working and very closely with Pakistan Single Window. And in this background, I would request Syed Tanvir Ahmed to speak out his thoughts on this topic. Syed Tanvir Ahmed, please.
Thank you very much. There is something wrong with the voice of my laptop. So I'm using a laptop to share my screen. I'm just speaking from my cell phone. So am I audible to all?
I can hear you. I can hear you. How about that?
Okay, okay, okay. And while I'm also sharing this screen also, you can see basically the topic, today's topic was Pakistan Single Window and Vbox. Vbox is the web-based one customs that was launched by Pakistan Customs, and it was towards Pakistan Customs paperless computerized system. So Pakistan Customs tried to remove all sort of human contact and tried to move towards more and more automation. And we tried that there should be no human contact just to reduce all the practices and to control to some extent the corrupt practices, I would say, also. And there were some wrong practices also. Basically, I would introduce some of the national single window and Pakistan web-based customs, that what is it and how it will be useful and how the future generation should contribute towards this development and try to learn how to use it to curb more and more wrong practices. It's not a one-way only journey, but both the trade and the custom has to make some efforts in achieving this goal. One thing, that single window is normally a platform where we lodge standardized information and documents using a single entry point to fulfill import, export, and transit related regulatory requirements. If I can just add that we are far behind in all indices of the World Bank, and Pakistan basically tried to introduce this national single window and WTO under the WTO's agreement. According to the World Bank Doing Business report, Pakistan ranked 147 in ease of doing business. So you can very well say that how much barriers are there towards doing business and how much it's difficult in doing business in Pakistan, and we have to do a lot, and the international academia can help us a lot in pointing out all towards training, not only training, but towards other other things that can be done towards ease of doing business. Similarly, we were 171 in trading across borders out of 190 countries. And the global competitiveness index, it's 107. And logistic performance index, it's 122nd. So because we were just following all the manual systems across all 72 departments, which were directly or indirectly involved towards imports and exports. So it had really increased cost of doing business as well as time and time also. This program, Pakistan Single Window, basically it's a single window where it tried to collate and try to bring all the departments and all the stakeholders at one point, and towards doing so, we are moving towards automation and towards paperless system. So Pakistan achieved a lot and moved a lot towards this step and towards the simplification and automation of regulatory process. And we have also started this port community system. We will discuss it later on, towards e-commerce and integrated risk management system. I must say that there was a time that when there was 100% checking at exports and towards imports containers. But after this, you can see this slide that in Korea, the time to process export container is 4 hours because the number of these are involved at the port, out of port also. And the cost is $196, India 64 hours, and Pakistan was at 113 hours and almost $406. So you can say the cost of doing business and cost of exports not moving towards automation and not moving towards coordination between the departments. Similarly, in case of imports, in Korea, 7 hours and $342 is the cost. India, $85 and $366 is the cost. While in Pakistan, 216 hours in processing and taking from a ship and taking it to a warehouse. And in all processing, it's the 216 hours and costing $417. So Pakistan Customs has been designated as the lead agency towards moving towards this Pakistan single window. And it is expected to reduce import transaction cost and time. And we are trying to align ourselves with the regional averages of $5 or $7 and 123 hours. But we are trying to reduce it much more than that. And potentially, we have calculated that it will save at least $350 million per annum and 140 hours per transaction. Similarly, in case of exports, the transaction in time would be reduced, and we will be saving $80 million per annum and approximately 45 hours per transaction. Now, moving towards basically, there are 75 regulators which are directly, indirectly involved with the marine trade and the clearance, starting from shipping and up to reaching of a consignment at the warehouse or some factory or some commercial importers' premises. 75 regulators and all working in silos with weak control and with limited resources and almost manual system. That was the previous position. And now, actually, you can see it like this. That this is the system. Prior to that, every one was connected to each other. But when the single window will be in operation, then it will be the central point, and all other persons, they will be attaching with the single window. Here it's a very complicated sort of diagram, but I would say basically this is the Vbox system, Pakistan paperless system. This is the blue. Prior to that, it was also to be the single window, but later on, this Vbox paperless system has become a part of Pakistan single window. And then these are all government agencies. These will be linked with the single window. So an importer or exporter don't have to go to individual for all permits or certificates or all other documents. Similarly, the documents will be sharing at only one time. And in the next step, this is the port community system, that all the insurance companies, airlines, shipping agents, duty-free zones, and port authorities, terminal operators, these have already been linked. So we have already completed this stage. We have completed this stage. There are 72 government agencies, and a number of important agencies have been connected with the PSW, and moreover, the more work is being carried out and in progress. Similarly, next step is the national E-Logistic platform. Just moving, we have already moved towards the banks and various kinds of e-payments, trade information portal, freight forwarder, they have been also been linked. And next will be the regional information exchange. It will help towards transit, not only Afghanistan, but towards the Central Asian states also, and it will reduce much more time and cost. And this I can see that what was the old legacy system manual when Pakistan Customs was working under that old manual system decade back, 7-8 years back. So it normally took 4 days, and now in Vbox, that is the Pakistan Customs paperless system, almost now 70% clear in 24 hours, and exports 80% within few hours. In import, there were 26 steps, and now only there are 2 steps, just filling, and wherever you are sitting, and you can make your clearances just on a click. Similarly, in case of export, there were 10 to 12 steps. Now there is only 1 step. Another major step is that we are moving towards the risk management system. There used to be, under the old system, 100% containers are open and checked, and now it's only 60% channels are not open, just cleared in 3 to 4 hours under green channel. Only 20% are there is a document check which we call yellow channel, and only physical examination, it was reduced from 100 to now 20% almost. So it's a great leap, and it has really improved. These are some of the systems and modules which are already working. I don't want to go into the details, but you can see that there are number of modules which are working. And now, one thing I would moreover I tell you that this Vbox system, that is the customs clearance paperless system, has also been taken over by the Pakistan single window, and they are also making a risk management system. The risk management system for Pakistan for customs was already there, but now the PSW is making a risk management system for all the 72 departments. So the plant say the phytosanitary inspection, there will be no 100% inspection, but if you have already applied and you have a certificate, so there will be a green channel available. Same is the case with the anti-narcotic force. Same is the case with other ministries, that quality standards that they will also be following. And the PSW, instead of all agencies are working and checking 100%, and the people are going and getting certain certificates and permissions. Now, the risk management system only will tell that you will be requiring checking for a few consignments. So it would help a lot. It will reduce our cost of doing business, and it will reduce the time also. So, increment online what we are doing, that online subscription and registration at one place, because there were registration with a number of different departments. So now there will be one registration online. So elimination of import at export form, and all the commercial and banks and state banks have already been attached and automated with that Pakistan single window. And it's the front end for the traders and custom agents, and who are using the Vbox. Now the PSW will be the system, only one system, which will be catering all the post release order processing, all will be, and other government agencies, all requirements will be taken care of. I've already told you about this. So this is a little bit about the community system, port community system, that is going to work under the Pakistan single window. So all freight forwarders, custom, shipping agent, port authorities, container depots, terminal operator, hinterlands, dry ports, inland carrier, ocean carrier, they all be linked with this system. It will a complex one, but it will easier. It has a fee of now $7, and they will be generating enough revenue to cater for the development further, and for all the hardware and taking care of the software requirements. And this also integrates to be a transaction. And PSW now has been established on all ports, and fully automated E-Logistic platform has been established. And cross-border trade processes 32 or nearly 30 other government agencies have been automated. There are 72. Work is being done on other. And Robust Customs, their own ICT company, and they have hired separate people. Now they are doing separate from PRAL, because it was Pakistan Customs' own company. So now the PSW has taken over that company also, and reshaped it and re-engineered. So just last 2-3 slides. It has reduced dwell time and reduced also the expenditure. Now the it has really enabled Pakistan to become hub for the regional trade, especially for the Central Asian states and for Afghanistan. I would be specifically mentioning, we have already entered into the TIR regime, and a module has also been introduced in this system. This is a very complicated process, I've already explained. So that was all about. So I would say that all the academia and they should internationally should point out what is lacking, and should also the new generation should get itself trained and should know about all the automation going on. If one, and secondly, they should also know that what are the benefits, especially when someone is calling specifically trying to contact you through someone, they should know that now this is the automation system, and we always customs try to avoid direct physical contact between the tax collectors and the taxpayers and the traders. And this is a effort towards that, and we need to tell our traders and our people and train them towards this. This will really help us in reducing all the malpractices, wrong practices, and I would say corrupt practices also. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tanvir Saab. It was really very enhanced and carrying in-depth knowledge about Vbox and Pakistan single window. There seem to be maybe a couple of questions. Maybe you would like to answer later on. But right now, before we move forward, I would like to request to Captain Ajmal Mahmoodi. He has been a trainer and a consultant in maritime affairs. He is CEO M International in Pakistan. His topic is maritime process improvement through training of next generation. How we can improve the maritime processes and we can train next generation. So, Captain Saab, it is over to you now. Captain Ajmal Mahmoodi.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My topic, as mentioned by Mr. Akram, is maritime process improvement through training and next generation. It is easy to think or say that training is an expensive affair with uncertain returns, but it is not. It is an investment in the sustainable growth of any business. But there is denying fact that the corporate training program entails cost. A lack of training in the workplace possesses its own risk and can in fact be more expensive than the cost of the training itself. The essence of any organization is its people, its worker, their loyalty, their motivation, their skill, their productivity, and that which is the key to the business growth and success. Can you hear me? Anybody can hear me or?
Yes, you are audible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The essence of any organization is its people, their loyalty, their motivation, their skill, and their productivity, and which is key to the success of any business. So while training has a cost, the risk of not training could cost any more. Learn about the risk of the not training any workforce. Although our new and the next generation are more intelligent than us, and they can do any job assigned to them with their own way and following the current practices at the workplace. However, they need to go through the appropriate training to adopt new technologies. Otherwise, they will be left behind by other competitor. Now I will concentrate on the training of the seafarer, which is very, very important nowadays because there's a changing environment and new gadgets, new trainings facilities, and gadgets are there, equipments are there, that's ACDIS, GMDIS, etc., etc. So now taking the example of the training on board the ship, which holds a strategic position in renewing and maintaining the seafarers' skills and further shaping their professionalism, where the safety culture takes its own roots. Indeed, the training on board ship is positive and important role in the seafarer training and development of shipboard safety culture. In the maritime industry, the training of the seafarer have been particularly oriented with young boys often enlisting at the age of 18 to 21 years, as soon as they join the ship and dated as themselves as seafarer, where they have to perform a range of duties concerned with the operation of to upkeep of the deck, engine, areas of their equipment. To rise the rank of an officer of the seafarer had to pass an examination of all aspects of seamanship. Today, the training of the seafarer is still practice-oriented, but much of the basic training is done on the nautical, vocational, and higher educational institution, as they are fully equipped with the new technologies of the changing trend of the maritime sphere. The training of the seafarer and maritime officers at the vessel of more than 500 gross tons is governed by the International Maritime Organization for training of certification and watchkeeping, which is called the STCW. The STCW describes the minimum competence requirement that seafarer must have before they can be given the certificate of appropriate rank. Of course, there are systems to evaluate skills and competence by way of the examination. Prior appearing to the examination, probably the seafarers are required to go through the requisite refresher courses and to prove their sea service on board the ship for the prerequisite of the rank certification. Today, much of the training occurs on bridge when on board the ship, but despite that, it is mandatory to do the prescribed simulation training prior appearing to the examination. The assessment of the seafarer's performance is usually done by an individual subject matter experts that subjectivity determine the observed actions of the seafarer and sufficient to be accepted. In addition, the majority of the simulators exercises are focusing on the routine operation, and few training systems are focusing on the handling of the abnormal and critical incidents as well, to determine the skill of the seafarer, that how he can reflect his attitude, his mind and awareness of that particular time. In addition, the majority of the simulator exercises are focusing on the different type and kind of the scenarios, that is in the daytime and the night time, or in the high tide or the low tide, the current and the winds. Unfortunately, the pace and increase of complexity of the process of maritime industries was higher than that of the improvement of upgradation in training methods, which resulted in evident gap between the training needs and the demand of the seafarer, which badly affecting the maritime process improvement through training of next generation. The Maritime Training Institute is one of the private institutes in Pakistan, duly approved by the government of Pakistan, an outreach center of the City of Glasgow College, national and international award-winning institute, is fully equipped with ultra-modern gadgets, equipments, and simulators with rich faculties, providing the training not to the only Pakistani seafarer, but other foreign country seafarers as well, and also the Pakistan Navy. We do offer different courses in the sphere of the fishing, but unfortunately, as yet, not a single fisherman or the person related to the fishing sector approached to us. Unless it is made the mandatory by the authority, no one will come to do this particular course. In conclusion, I will say that the next generation is requiring to be trained with new technologies, and this only can be achieved by having the upgraded training facilities, which includes equipment, gadgets, simulators, and a competent faculty. It is worth mentioning here that in region of the Indian subcontinent and Middle East, the training institution in Pakistan, which includes the Pakistan Marine Academy as well, do have adequate training facilities and rich faculties and facilities beyond. Thank you very much for patient handling. If any question, I will be able to give now or maybe at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajmal Saab. I must appreciate your well put thought in there regarding this training through your institutes and various institutes for maritime industry. And definitely, I've also asked all the participants to, if they have any question, and we are receiving some questions. So definitely, if some question comes in, I'll pass it on.
I will appreciate. I will appreciate.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Captain Saab. Thank you. Now, should I request, since Mr. Shah Zaman is not there, unfortunately, he had to go to the hospital. So may God help him out. So I'll request Jonas Lanson. He's a senior lead, South Asia, working for MACN right now in Denmark. So I'll ask him to wrap it up, the whole webinar, and please help us out in mentioning what is way forward from here on. And once Jonas is done, I have a few questions, so maybe I would like to put on some questions later on. So Jonas, now over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akram. First of all, can you, am I audible here?
I can hear you well, yes? Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, just to make sure. So from me, I will only touch the way forward on from MACN side of things, because we have covered a broad variety of topics today. And obviously our goal is similar to what we hear from most of the speakers here today. It is to increase the ease of doing business, supporting the blue economy of Pakistan, training seafarers, public authorities, and shore staff to reduce person-to-person contact and implement standards and operational procedures that are easily followed. And our focus for the next 2 years while we run our collective action initiative in Pakistan is going to be to start with training of shore staff and sailors alike. And our basic training is how do we collaborate to create a corruption-free environment that also reduces these waiting times on imports and exports and slow down the economy essentially. Alongside that, we are promoting our collective action initiative, which will see the private sector and the public sector come together to discuss these issues, discuss how may we improve on these operational procedures that are being put in place, and how may we all move forward together in a way where where there's less misunderstanding and less abuse of the systems. That if everybody don't understand the procedures and the systems, then there is a possibility to abuse that fact that some are less aware of the procedures than others. So basically, we are creating awareness, and we are putting the public and the private sector in the same room so that we can have an open discussion and find the best solutions to these issues. And I can appreciate everything the speakers have brought to the table here today, because when we look at we are very much a maritime focused network, and we have to have all of these aspects in mind when we try and eliminate corruption and issues in procedures and standards. So I would like to thank all the speakers who contributed to the webinar here today. And thank you, Akram and Mr. Siddiqi, for setting up the webinar. And I think we should take some questions before we close off here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonas, for your input and showing us the way forward. And as you mentioned, yes, bringing them in the same room and talking and discussing how we can help to getting the less abusing of the systems and creating awareness. Yes, we are talking and discussing here along with Syed Tanvir Ahmed and Fasihul Karim Siddiqi and other maritime experts here to have roundtable meetings with the stakeholders, and we are planning to have a series of roundtable meetings again in the same room and listening to each other, what can be done and how we can create awareness, how and of course a maritime focused network. We would like to see that how we can improve the procedures, and for that say Tanvir is there, Fasih Saab is there, and we are getting help from people. So the planning for roundtable is on. Now, one question was put by Mr. Majid Aziz. Mr. Majid Aziz is the president of Global Compact Network Pakistan. He is ex-president of Karachi Chamber of Commerce, and he mentioned to Mr. Commodore Akbar Naqi, if you can listen to me, how his question was how PMA, Pakistan Marine Academy, can be converted into a Marine Affairs University under Bahria University. This was question put by Mr. Majid Aziz. Can Akbar Naqi Saab, Commodore Akbar Naqi Saab, answer this question, please? Akbar Naqi Saab, can you hear us? Hello, Akbar Naqi Saab. All right, seems to me unable to reply. The second question was to Dr. Asif. How much emphasis Bahria University has put on removing malpractices, wrongdoing when they were designing their curriculum for their degree program. So, question to Dr. Asif, please.
Actually, when Bahria University planned to launch the BS degree program and MS program, what Bahria University did, they organized international conference, and they invited all or some of the leading maritime universities and also some of the experts from Pakistani institutions. And with the help of all that information obtained, we or Bahria University developed roadmap and course curriculum. But having said that, since our first batch has just completed its 4 years program, so we are now considering to review our roadmap with the help of input from local as well as international experts. Thank you.
Sir, you asked me a question. Can I give the answer of Majid Saab? Can you hear me? Akbar Naqi here, sir. Sir, Akram Saab, can you hear me?
Yeah. Akbar Saab, please. Commodore Saab is online again. Question was put to you by Mr. Majid Aziz. You know the question, Commodore Saab?
I know.
Yeah, all right, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Majid Saab is one of the finest, vibrant officer I have seen. He's very efficient. He knows everything. I would like to add to what he asked me a question. Sir, Pakistan Marine Academy is the institute affiliated with World Maritime University, and it is working under direct of IMO UN rules. And this is the only academy Pakistan has, and it was in Bangladesh, shifted to Pakistan in 1971. There is no institute in the region which is better than Pakistan Marine Academy. Yes, we are inducting, actually I also talk about the human resource. We induct our cadets after they have qualified our different exams all over Pakistan. And after passing your FSC A level, they go appear in the entrance test. In entrance test, we have got seats, fixed seats, engineering and or nautical side. We pick them from there. They join after medical, and then they join us. They are fighting fit. No, this is a background I am giving. Likewise, all the courses of class 5th, 4th, 3rd, we have got all the capabilities in our academy with the latest simulators of transit company. Those were in the Pakistan. They come, they train themselves there, and they qualify with all the officers, as mentioned by many speakers. They have to qualify degrees to grow and join the international shipping. So we have got all these things only institute in Pakistan. I'm proud of that. Number three, sir. Last, I know you must be in hurry. Number three, sir. We are trying our best. Our cadets of engineering side, they are getting B degree program from all the universities of Pakistan, NED, Peshawar University. This was all the program we have made possible in the last 3 weeks, 3 years. And we always go as per the merit of the institute we are joining. So our cadets, 24 engineers has become in the last 3 years after going to university. And the last question, we are still trying to make our PMA to PMU. And there is the HEC SOPs, which you have to meet to become a primary medical university. So we are on it. So you will see Pakistan will transform its maritime sector to a best of the best in the world, and you will see that this country were also we're trying to get exchange programs. The students come from all over the world and join us. Inshallah, soon you'll find it.
Now, the question was how Vbox system has been helpful in reducing wrong practices and malpractices in maritime industry. So, can Tanvir Sahab answer the question, please?
Basically, it was the Vbox system is the Pakistan computerized, Pakistan customs paperless computer system. And it was basically before this complete automation. For example, I just give you an example that there was a 100% examination. 100% people came and there were 64 steps. There were the close contact that traders came and then their consignments were cleared. But after the introduction of this automated system, and now Vbox and Pakistan single window, only 10 to 15% containers are opened, 60% green channel, 16% there is no contact between the trader and any government agency. And so definitely it has not only reduced the contact, but it has reduced the malpractices and to some extent corrupt practices also. And secondly, I will give you an example that in case of, say, phytosanitary certificates, people used to go and collect those certificates manually from the phytosanitary department. But after the automation, and they were all these departments were brought online. Now the people apply it online, and there is probably very less need that people should go and visit their office. And we have seen that when there is a very little contact between the traders and any government agency, the corruption will automatically be reduced. And if there are some objections, and if there are some objections raised, it has to be on the automated system and everybody will be looking at it. Another example I'll be giving in case of valuation, there used to be a undervaluation 10, 15 years back, but now the people see the 90 days data, it's available on the system. You and the other one is clearing on that value, and if there is a difference, he can always, and people have approached that why he is declaring this less value. So over the period of time, there is a more element of transparency. I can similarly in case of e-payment, there used to be a long queue in before National Bank, and there were some wrong practices there. I don't want to mention, but definitely after automation, people are making e-payments, and lot of not only hassle, but some malpractices have been stopped. There, I can give you a lot of examples, and the trade really approached us, especially the multinationals, especially big one. And when I was making the system, people approached, please include us in this green channel so we can get rid of this manual system. At that time, it was a decade before, it was a hybrid system. So definitely, this system has reduced some wrong practices, malpractice, even I would say some corrupt practices because it has brought more transparency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Syed Tanvir Saab. And I'm sure that we will be moving into that direction. So we can further figure out that the Pakistan single window and Vbox, the second module, would be bringing down the malpractices. And how can we quantify later on? We can find out the answer of this question. Now, there was some questions or rather suggestion that the PowerPoint presentation by Dr. Asif and Syed Tanvir Ahmed, can it be shared among all panelists? So Dr. Asif has mentioned yes, he would email it to me, and then I'll email to all the participants of this webinar. And Tanvir Saab, would you be able to share this your PowerPoint presentation with all the participants?
Okay.
Please, thank you very much.
I'll be sending you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, before we are about to close, and maybe Mr. Fasihul Karim Siddiqi, would you have some point to mention at the end of this webinar?
Okay.
Can you?
No, I don't have any point to mention. Thank you very much. I would like to, in fact, thank all the speakers for a very wonderful and I should say informative wealth of knowledge and information they have been able to provide through this webinar. I can say it was an absolutely fantastic foundational base work which will help us in developing the way forward for training of the future generation. In fact, it comes to my mind that hopefully with the help of our very distinguished speakers today, we should be able to develop a small curriculum of what can be included in the training programs for different stakeholders. And we can develop that curriculum and use that as the basis for training of the stakeholders on the one hand. And I would like to take it to the business schools if they can be included in their management curriculum, because this will help in developing a basic mindset of business graduates as they graduate from business schools, to make up their mind as to how they have to stand up against corrupt and undesirable practices and develop their value-based perceptions on actions that can develop a responsible management governance structure. So I think today's seminar has provided us a lot of input, a lot of information, a lot of basic material, and a lot of structural background which will serve us as the basis for developing that curriculum. I will particularly request our distinguished speakers to help us in doing so, because as partners in our collective action to combat corrupt practices in maritime industry, it's a very, very missionary activity. It is something where we need the real help and assistance of people who have a lot of experience in this field and who have a lot of perception in this field, and they have to be the architect of the future generation, which should be able to practice the value-based approach in doing their jobs, customs and ports and shipping, whether we acknowledge it or not, form the very backbone of the blue ocean strategy of business that we in Pakistan have not been able to attend with the magnitude and focus that we should have given. But I hope today's seminar will open the way for developing such an approach with the help of our wonderful participants. So with these few words, I once again would like to thank you. This has gone live on Facebook, and we will also make the video of today's webinar available to audience who can benefit from the presentations and from the inputs given. And I'm sure this is the beginning of a new journey in building up the next generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fasihul Karim Siddiqi and my colleagues and participants of this webinar. They took their valuable time out of it, and also thanks to all the participants who joined us from the various countries. Just for information, there were more than 30 participants who had joined us our webinar from different part of the world. And thank you all. And one must appreciate all the efforts put in by our colleagues and by our participants, and especially by the people who were the panelists. They put good effort and showing us the way forward. And we will be coming up again for holding this webinar into different with the direction showed by our colleagues and panelists. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Bye bye now. Take care. We'll be getting in touch soon. Thank you.